This is the one-day chart once more, and we will now discuss XRP. At $2.81, we are seated here. The price of XRP has not fluctuated much in recent times. You can see how we've been alternating between $2.75 and $2.85 for some time now. Even if you only look at the 7 days, we're just waiting for the next move up. And now that September is coming up again, we can see that Bitcoin has risen back above $111. Once it starts to actually break out, it will give us a better timeline till that time comes. All we have to do is wait for additional catalysts to materialize for XRP. I get that everyone is unhappy, but on top of that, you have everyone claiming that September won't see it happen. The worst month for cryptocurrency is September. However, a few significant events this month have the potential to reverse that. XRP is on track for a gradual ascent above $50, as said by a prominent Bitcoin investor. They're referring to Ripple's banking license, and while I agree with that, I don't think the license will be approved until 2026, probably in the first part of next year. However, that might hold the secret to XRP achieving that cost. Numerous other aspects are involved, but you have a factor in. We're about to have regulatory certainty, you know. Utility will gain from regulatory certainty, which is why I keep saying this. After that, you begin to examine ISO 2022 and the ETFS. In addition to all of that, the banking license would be granted early the following year. When will everyone be clamoring for the #1 spot on XRP? Africa is where our RLUSD's next chapter begins. What makes Africa the ideal place for Ripple to expand? This is the reason for it. 57% of people lack bank accounts. 80% of people use cell phones. Remittances totaling $95 billion annually. People under 25 make up 60% of the population. That isn't a marketplace. That generation can be programmed. This explains why the repercussions in Africa are currently so severe, and you can be sure that they will bankrupt everyone on the planet. It's not just Ripple that does this, it's also excellent. Additionally, Hedera became interested in this, because the next step is to turn the switch when all the rails have been set up. The point at which we transition from the existing financial system to the new one, and this time, nobody is left behind. In my opinion, there should be no justification for someone to be unbanked in 2025. XRP is featured on the top mainstream German TV. You know, they're pointing out where XRP and Ripple are headed in Germany. They discuss international payments, how quickly and inexpensively it is to use XRP by the time the mainstream media in the United States catches up with German television. For those who remain on the sidelines, it will be too late. You are aware that the rest of the world isn't waiting on America anymore? It's commonly believed that these other nations will do nothing except wait for US rules. Many of these nations are now catching up to the United States, and for that reason, Germany probably dumped its Bitcoin. They're moving differently and are becoming more involved with XRP, even though everyone claimed that was the worst thing Germany could ever do. They're most likely in a better situation now than they were back then. According to data from the CME Group, this comes from Brad Garlinghouse. In just over 3 months, XRP futures contracts reached $1 billion in open interest, which was the fastest ever. CME also released this information. The crypto market was even hotter than August, with $36 billion in open interest for crypto futures and options on August 22, 2006. Micro Ether futures and XRP, Solana, which have large open interest holders, reached all-time highs. Beyond Bitcoin, institutional activity is expanding. Institutions are now looking beyond Bitcoin. Technology isn't slowing down. Therefore, they're beginning to focus more on utility and technology. It just keeps going. You need to surround yourself with the greatest technology, and many of these organizations are already considering XRP as a way to support their business. For this reason, we are also beginning to see the treasuries. Investing in XRP is very exciting right now. Only a few years ago, we believed that these things would occur at some point in the future. It is now taking place in real time. According to what Ripple stated, this is the potential price of XRP if tokenization accounts for 10% of the world's GDP by 2030. According to them, tokenization might account for 10% of the world's GDP. Now, the XRP ledger would not contain all of it. We would be looking at a 41 XRP if even 10% of it occurred, but that will happen far sooner than 2030. Why? Do they continue to point to 2030 as the pivotal year when everything is already accelerating? As you may know, the adoption of cryptocurrencies is outpacing that of the internet and isn't slowing down. From here, it's only going to get faster. For this reason, I predicted that the majority of XRP holders would be retired in the upcoming 24 months. Over the next few months, a few will be retiring because there are many large XRP bag holders out there once XRP takes off. You may reach that stage without even selling your XRP right now. I'm sure many of them will sell everything they own and quit their 9-to-5 jobs. You now have possibilities for earning passive income. That was something we had never experienced before. Being able to borrow against your cryptocurrency or generate monthly income without having to sell it is a huge thing. If someone wanted to sell their XRP, why? Let's return to tokenization and the XRP ledger overview though. Actual asset, private credit tokenization, 135 points, millions of US Treasury bonds, 116 points, 7 million stablecoins. There are 88.6 million stocks, 55 points. Real estate, 4 million, now 4.3 million. In the near future, this will reach the billions. Actual asset tokenization is still in its infancy. They are still awaiting regulations in the United States and a clear route ahead on tokenization from the SEC, so I anticipate this to reach the billions pretty immediately. After that, it will reach the trillions. And as XRP investors, we will be the ones carrying all of that value over the XRP ledger. We will become really wealthy. The Fed's rate decision in September might push XRP to $4. I see a lot of individuals stating that there is a high probability that the Fed would lower interest rates in September if this occurs. Now, I anticipate that the whole cryptocurrency market will take off if they lower rates in September. The same is true if they also intend to lower rates in October, November, and December. How the hell does the top fit in, as some have been saying? 2025. Instead, it advances into 2026. ETFs are no different. People pretend that within the first 4 weeks, all the money will come in. It will require months. As long as they go online in October, you will see inflows in that month, rather than November, December, January, or February. At the same time, institutional adoption will continue to occur. Is anyone advocating for the peak and significant decline to occur this year? I believe they are completely mistaken. I believe that this will continue into 2026, and it will probably continue until the summer of 2026. However, January still appears to be the best month of the year, so you will have the opportunity to benefit along the way. Will there be a slight reversal in January? Really, no one knows. The nature of the inflows is yet unknown to us. What is the anticipated duration of the inflows? Really, no one knows. Is XRP on the road to recovery, or did you get a factor in? We haven't seen a complete rebound from the Ripple vs. SEC case yet because, in my opinion, that still needs to happen. ISO is then taken into account. How much will that be worth in the long run? The event won't happen on the first day. They're using XRP for its real use case and utility inside of ISO messaging, so that will be a continuous process. After all of that, we still need to see what happens with Ripple's banking license. If something occurs early, how quickly is that approved? 2026, as many have predicted, and then we begin to observe the future. That might add a lot of value right away, or it might add more value in the future. Breaking news, Rex Osprey just submitted 4 cryptocurrency ETFs and an XRP ETF to the SEC. They now anticipate that this will be authorized on September 9th. It's right here. On September 9th, 2025, in accordance with paragraph B, they are beginning with an ETF for Trump, one for Bitcoin, one for XRP, one for a bank, and one for Dojis. I believe that they probably added Bitcoin in the hopes that it would be accepted more quickly. It's unclear if this will launch on September 9th. This might provide us with our first glimpse of XRP influx. That will also provide us with a clear picture of the future of the remaining ETFs. The credentials modification for the XRP ledger was just activated. Yesterday, I referred to this in a video. This is KYC, and the XRP ledger now has AML integrated into it rather than through third-party apps. A significant step toward institutional use. Was there a reason why Ripple chose to do this before the ETFs? As they begin to understand what XRP does, and how it may benefit their own firm, I believe some of the early adopters of the ETFs may eventually purchase the actual asset. When they could own the real thing, why would they? Keep holding an ETF. Perhaps that's why Ripple wants to do this before the ETFs. However, as I mentioned at the start of this video, XRP is now only making very slight movements. First up, then down, then back up, then down again. We're awaiting the next challenge. Additionally, we're waiting for Bitcoin to start to get traction. Bitcoin still has that massive move up in it, so people keep counting it out. This cycle is over. Bitcoin's going to come crashing down from here, people think. But they are unaware that it hasn't happened yet. Before it crashes, Bitcoin still has a little bit left in it, which will also solidify all seasons. But until it does, maintain your patience and optimism.